Johto. Kanto's little sibling to some, but to me, my favorite region in all of Pokemon. Is that informed by some personal bias from heartgold and soulsilver being my favorite games growing up? Yes, but come on, your Pokemon literally waddle behind you in the overworld. 10 out of 10 game design. Region preferences aside, I want to do the same thing I did in my video where I ranked the 8 Gym Leaders of Kanto, but with the Gym Leaders of Johto. Once again, some quick ground rules. First, I will be basing this list off of the Gym Leaders teams as they appear in heartgold and soulsilver. This is mainly because I believe heartgold and soulsilver didn't change too much, but did update the movesets of the leaders' Pokemon in a positive way. The second rule is that I am ranking these gym leaders based on their strength relative to where they are in the game. Johto specifically has a run of early gym leaders that pack quite a punch, and I want to make sure that they get their fair shot. With that, I think we're all set. Who do you think will nab the top spot? Let's find out. I actually struggled a lot with number 8 on this list. Johto's middle run of gym leaders are a little underpowered and often easily countered with 1 or 2 Pokemon. And once you combine that with the fact that the map opens up massively after the early game, there are plenty of potential counters to each gym leader in this stretch. So keep in mind, I could easily see your personal rankings shuffling these first 4, and I would agree with it. With that said though, one leader has a flaw so great that I just couldn't overlook it. Gym leader Morty of Ekrutique City is the weakest gym leader in Johto. At first, this may be a little surprising, as on paper, his team looks pretty strong. Ghost is a strong offensive type, and Gengar is a formidable foe in any battle. But Morty's Achilles heel lies in his movesets on his Pokemon. The only non-ghost attacking moves he has are Dream Eater, which relies on Hypnosis hitting and is only on one of his Pokemon, and Sucker Punch, which has 5 PP that can be easily stalled out by not selecting attacking moves. This means that a single normal-type Pokemon, whether it be Girafarig or even a Dunsparce, can easily solo the gym with minimal planning. If your Girafarig has Early Bird as its ability, even better. I really like Morty's character design and his gym's interior design is sick, but I can't rank him any higher in good conscience. At number 7, we have who many of you probably expected at number 8. Chuck, you literally fight your Pokemon for training, which is sick and I just found out about it when researching for this video, but no amount of training will fix the fact that you have 2 Pokemon. 2! For the 5th gym? And you didn't even think to try to cover your flying or psychic weaknesses with one of them? Chuck's shortcomings are clear, but why is he not ranked lower than Morty? Well, his Primeape has Rock Slide, which at a minimum tries to hit flying types, and also Double Team, which can always be annoying. Plus, his Poliwrath's Hypnosis has been a problem once or twice. Look, I'm not saying he's difficult, but I really can't remember the last time Morty was even a blip on the radar, whereas Chuck has maybe once or twice all time knocked out one of my Pokemon. It's splitting hairs, I know, but this is where I landed after a lot of meditation. Not under a waterfall though, I'm sorry to report. At number 6, I have Gym Leader Price of Mahogany Town, the man who couldn't be bothered to weed out the local crime syndicate. I mean, I know he's old, but what did he think when Lance literally blew a man up next door? Ugh. We need to run the Zamboni in here again. What the? Note to self. Need new place to buy drugs. Also, do not f with Lance. Man just turned a guy into jelly. Anyway, 3 Pokemon is so few for a 7th gym leader, yet somehow that puts him in a 3-way tie for 3rd most in the region. Crazy. Seal and Dugong are just both too weak to be impactful, and their weak ice-type moves compound that even further. The Piloswine in the back, The Piloswine in the back has Snow Cloak and Hail, which could be interesting, but it just gets swept away by any water-type Pokemon too quickly for it to matter. Price benefits only from having more Pokemon than Chuck, but that is a slim difference that barely puts him in the 6th spot. Rounding out our bottom 4 is Jasmine of Olivine City at number 5. That was kind of confusing. She's at number 5. She is very kind to Amphi, that's great, but kindness does not get you much in Pokemon battling. The 2 Magnemites on her team are a complete wash, don't get me wrong, as they are easily wrecked by the slightest rumble of the earth, but her Steelix is the best ace in the bottom 4 in my opinion, and that pushed her over the top. Is that saying a lot? No, not really. Steel and ground typing carries so many common weaknesses, but Steelix's massive physical defense stat can make him a formidable wall if your team indexes heavily on physical attackers. Wow, that was a mouthful. Screech and Sandstorm Chip are also useful tools in a longer battle, but in reality Jasmine is just as much of a pushover as her previous 3 gym leaders. I admire your willingness to do good, and your cameos in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum are great, but you just don't have that many real threats on your team, Jasmine. Alright, now we're getting into the real bread and butter of the Gen 2 gym leaders. Johto has a wonderful suite of early gym leaders, and we start with them now. At number 4, we have Bugsy of Azalea Town. This may be surprising as Bug is a notoriously terrible typing, but Bugsy takes advantage of the limited number of options to deal with bug types this early in the games. If you didn't pick Cyndaquil as your starter, you're stuck with a weak flying type like Hoot Hoot, or Geodude and Onix with an inaccurate Rock Throw or Rock Tomb if you want to do super effective damage. While Bugsy's Metapod and Kakuna are practically non-existent, they're so unimportant, the Scyther packs a punch if you're not prepared for it. It's fast, it's strong, and it can play around with its fast U-turn and priority quick attacks to get a lot of damage off before taking any damage itself. Not to mention, focus energy can be a real pain if the crits start racking up. Oh, I forgot to mention, the Technician ability pumps up the Scyther's damage output even more. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to the Fury Cutter moveset the Scyther has in Gold, Silver, and Crystal. That damage builds super quickly if not accounted for. I know a bug-type second gym leader doesn't sound like it would be in the top 50% of gym leaders in a region, or realistically the top 75% of gym leaders in a region, but here we are. Kudos to you, Bugsy, you really are punching above your weight. At number 3 on this list, we have Faulkner. It's hard to believe that the first gym leader, with 2 Pokemon, would be on the podium, but that's Johto for you. Listen, Faulkner, add 1 more Pidgey to that team and you're basically the 7th gym leader. His Pidgeotto is genuinely really difficult to deal with. It's bulky enough for the early game that Roost is a real problem, and the Pidgey with Sand Attack doesn't help your case much if you're relying on 1 Pokemon to carry. This compounds once again with the shockingly limited number of Rock-type Pokemon this early on. Think you're going to use your own Sand Attack to buy more time? Think again. Both of Faulkner's Pokemon have the Keen Eye ability, so they cannot have their accuracy lowered. When you're challenging Faulkner, you have to be ready for a long, drawn-out battle. I respect that a lot, and it's refreshing to see such a challenge this early on after Brock was such a disappointment in the Kanto rankings. Good on you, Faulkner, you're well on your way to making your dad proud. Which is kind of weird that you're that open about it now that I think about it, but it's fine. At number 2, we have Claire, the 8th and final gym leader of Johto. I've talked before about how much of a menace her Kingdra is, and I will reiterate it again here. In heartgold and soulsilver, her combination of the sniper ability and access to such strong moves as Hyper Beam and Hydro Pump makes her have one of the highest possible damage outputs, pound for pound, that I can think of on any gym leader in any region. I wish she had given it a scope lens too, can you imagine how nasty that would have been? Also, there's just not a ton of Dragon-type Pokemon or moves available in Johto, so dealing with the Kingdra quickly isn't really much of an option. Beyond just her ace though, Claire has a pretty good team. Dragonairs are always a bit disappointing, but their coverage moves are decent and dealing with Thunder Wave paralysis can turn into a nightmare quickly. Couple all of this with a lead Intimidate Gyarados, and Claire has a fairly formidable team. Again, in a more competitive region, this feels more like a mid-game gym, but I'll take it for this region. Now give me that damn badge already, I've been hanging out in the Dragon's Den for like an hour. It's getting weird. Alright, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. From the minute you started this video, you knew this was coming. This gym leader's reputation precedes her, with a name that strikes fear into the hearts of anyone who tried over and over again to beat her team when they were younger. Or even now, to be completely honest. This is, of course, Whitney, gym leader of Goldenrod City. 2 Pokemon. 2 Pokemon is all it takes. First, the Clefairy, which honestly is a wash if it doesn't get crazy luck with Metronome. But then, the Miltank comes out. And man, is it a beast. Whitney was in the lab, cooking up the perfect set to make this thing as difficult as possible. Stomp. A decently strong early game stab move with a 30% chance to flinch. But there is a caveat. And you might not have known about this, but if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the Pokemon rulebook, this is there. It's just in tiny font. In situations where flinching would be cataclysmic to your battle, those odds jump to 100%. Sorry, I don't make the rules. But what if you're just faster? Isn't that good? Well, good luck. Miltank has a base 100 speed stat. It's hard to outrun that cow. Whittle down the Miltank to low HP by miraculously avoiding flinches. Oops, milk drink, there's 50% HP back. Hope you don't mind. Sometimes, just to be cute, Whitney will go for rollout, which sounds ideal, but Miltank is surprisingly strong when they start hitting in succession. Oh, and God forbid you bring in a male Pokemon to this battle, because that is a 100% guarantee that she will use Attract. You think avoiding flinches is impossible? Now you tack on an extra 50-50 chance to not move at all. But Slam, you say. Just use a strong fighting type Pokemon and one-shot it, you dummy. That would be great, but where on earth am I getting one of those? The only, and I repeat, only fighting type accessible at this point is a Heracross you can catch from a low odds encounter by headbutting a tree. You're literally slamming your head against the wall to try to beat Whitney.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
If you get it, great, but now you have to avoid those flinches because Heracross is 15 base points slower than Miltank. What about Ghastly, you say? Oops, Miltank's ability is scrappy, so those stomp flinches are coming for you too. Thought you were non-corporeal? Nice try. Whitney's Miltank is not perfect, but it combines so many little coverage touches, whether it is scrappy or the Lumberry it holds, with the unique conditions of Johto's encounters before the map opens up to create a gym experience that is hard even with great planning. It's possible to beat Whitney cleanly, but it almost always requires a little bit of luck to do so. I think that makes her a great gym leader and deserving of the respect she has garnered over the years. How many gym leaders can you say that about? That they're hard even today, even when you've been playing Pokemon for years and years? Not a lot. Great job, Whitney. You earned the gold and it really wasn't even that close. Well, that just about covers everything. I love Johto, but I do acknowledge its flaws, especially the flattening difficulty curve as you get into the mid and late game. However, its cast of gym leaders is ripe with design, personality, and charm, at least to me. And I think this list of gym leaders was able to capture how unique this sort of ranking can be when a game has such an open-ended back half. It really bumped up some of the earlier gym leaders, when the game gave you less tools to deal with their unique problems. Anyway, that's enough out of me. What did you think? Want to see me do Hoenn next? Let me know and have a great rest of your day. Thanks.